Hello everyone, welcome to Decipher Technique. You are listening to Shubham Mittal. Today we will be learning about classification of discrete time systems. This will be a review of digital signal processing for the discussion of memory, shift invariance, linearity, causality and stability properties of a digital signal processing system. The first classification here we will see is static versus dynamic system. A discrete time system is said to be static or memoryless if its output at any instant n depends at most on the input sample at that same instant n only, but not on past or the future samples of the input. The system otherwise is said to be dynamic or with memory. So in general, if the output at any instant n is completely determined by the input samples in the interval n minus n to n, which means we are having past n samples and the present sample. The system is said to have memory of n samples. It will work on the past n samples as well as the current samples. So it will work in total on n plus 1 samples. So three cases arise according to this generalization. If n is equal to 0, the system is said to be static, which means n is equal to 0, so the interval is just n. The output depends only on the current input, so the system is said to be static, which corresponds to this definition only. The case 2 is if n is some finite positive integer, then the system is said to have finite memory. Let's say we have n is equal to 2, then we can say from n minus 2 to n we are observing the interval of the input sequence. So we are observing three samples at n minus 2, n minus 1 and n. So we have a memory of two samples and we are observing also the current sample. The system is said to have finite memory. If n is equal to infinity, the system is said to have infinite memory. If the system aims at computing the output after observing all the past values up to infinity, then it is said to have an infinite memory system. Let's see some examples of the classification based on this criteria, static versus dynamic. These are two static systems. Yn is equal to Axn. Here the value current value of the output depends on the current value of the input. Here we are having xn. Xn means we are only considering the current value. We are not considering the n minus 1 or n plus 2, not the present, not the past. So we are only considering the current value. That's why the system is said to be static. Likewise, yn is equal to nxn plus bx cube n. We are taking the present value, we are computing its cube and multiplying it with b. Then we are adding it with another term, which is the input multiplied by the n. But still, we are not considering any past values of the input. So these two systems are said to be static. Let's see the dynamic systems. The dynamic systems are three here. So yn is equal to xn plus 3xn minus 1. So this system will look into the present value of the input as well as the exactly past input value. It will look into the n minus 1 sample and the nth sample while computing the yn sample. Let's say we have to calculate y1, then it will be x1 plus 3x 1 minus 1, that is x1 plus 3x0. So it will look into the zeroth sample and the first sample. Let's see the second example. Yn is equal to summation of k from 0 to n xn minus k. So this is a accumulator which accumulates all the input values. Let's say we have this simple sequence. So here we have n is equal to 0. What we are considering is yn. The value of the output at any instant n depends on the, let us expand this expression. it says xn minus k from, so xn plus xn minus 1 plus up to xn minus n. What it means is we arrive at the zeroth sample. So we are moving backwards and we are covering our span. Let's say we are here, we are covering our span up to the origin, so we will consider only these samples. So we are currently at this sample and we are considering the past samples. That's why the system is said to be dynamic system. Likewise, let us see the third example. Here the summation is from k is equal to 0 to infinity. It will consider a longer span. It will consider the more past values. It will also consider the values from n before the n is equal to 0 also. So it is also a dynamic system. Let us see the characterization of a system based on the time invariance. Time invariant versus time variant systems, or we will say shift invariance. A system is said to be time invariant or shift invariant if its input output characteristics do not change with time. The definition is a relaxed system T. The system is denoted by a transformation T is time invariant or shift invariant if and only if xn leads to the output yn when subjected to the transformation T of the system, implies a shift in the input by k samples. This is the shifted input, results in the output having the equal shift in the samples. So the corresponding shift in the input translates into the exactly corresponding shift in the output for every input xn and every time shift k. This is the definition of time invariance. Let us see the procedure to check time invariance of any given discrete time system. Step 1 is we apply a delayed version of input signal xn minus k to obtain an output as xn minus k is transformed into yn k. So yn k is the transformation of xn minus k. Then we excite the system by the input xn to obtain the output yn and delay the output by k samples. In the first case, we have delayed the input signal and applied to the system, but in the second case, we have kept the input sequence as it is and we obtained the output sequence and we delayed the output sequence by k samples. So we apply a delay, k delay to the output sequence to obtain yn minus k. Now, if yn k is equal to yn minus k, these two values are equal for all values of k, then the system is said to be time invariant. Otherwise, the system, if it doesn't obey this criteria for any value of k, then the system is said to be time variant or time varying system, shift variant system. Some examples to observe the time invariance. Here we have a system given by yn is equal to xn minus xn minus 1. The response to a delayed input xn minus k is ynk is equal to xn minus k. We will just change the argument here. The n argument is changed into n minus k argument. So we are replacing it with n minus k. Then this is n minus k. So we have the response to the delayed input. The delayed response by k instants if the input is xn is yn minus k is equal to xn minus k, because now we will change here. Now we will change here the value of n. We are changing it to n minus k. Everywhere we are changing it to n minus k. So we will get the identical output. Implies that yn k is equal to yn minus k for all k. Hence the system is said to be shift invariant or time invariant. Let us see another example. The system is given by yn is equal to nxn. The response to delayed input xn minus k is, now we just simply change this by xn minus k. So we have n xn minus k. The delayed response by k instants is we replace n by n minus k. Yn minus k is equal to n minus k x n minus k. Implies that yn k is not equal to yn minus k. Hence, the system is time variant or shift variant. Let us see another example. Yn is equal to x to n. It is a compressor system. It increases the frequency by twice. So the response to delayed input xn minus k is yn k is equal to transformation of xn minus k. This is the delayed input. What the transformation rule says is, here the transformation rule is that whatever the input is, make it twice faster. So x to n minus k, we simply double the argument n minus k. So we have x to n minus 2k. The delayed response by k instants is, we simply replace n by n minus k. So n minus k x to n minus k is equal to x to n minus 2k. Implies that we have yn k is equal to yn minus k for all k. Hence the system is shift invariant or time invariant. Let us see the classification of systems based on the linearity. The linear versus non-linear systems. A system is said to be linear if it obeys the superposition principle. It is the superposition principle. What superposition principle says is, if the response to a weighted sum of signals, input signals, is equal to the corresponding weighted sum of the responses of the system to each of the individual inputs, then the system is said to be linear. Otherwise, the system is non-linear. Here we have a definition. A system is linear if the transformation applied to the weighted sum of the inputs a1 x1 plus a2 x2 is equal to the weighted sum of the corresponding outputs. This is the output for x1 and this is the output for x2. So if the transformation on the weighted sum of inputs is equal to the weighted sum of the corresponding outputs for any arbitrary choices of the input sequences x1 and x2 and constants a1 and a2, then the system is linear. Let us see the procedure to check linearity. The step 1 is, we compute the linear combination of the responses of the system to two separate inputs x1 and x2. Here we have y1 is equal to transformation of x1 and y2 is equal to transformation of x2. Then we take the linear sum of these two outputs a1 y1 plus a2 y2 and we designate it as y3. Now we compute the system's response to linear combination of inputs, this. So we supply this linear combination of input to the system altogether. Then we take an output, we name it as y4. y4n is the transformation of a1 x1 plus a2 x2. Now if y3 and y4 are equal, then the system is said to be linear, otherwise the system is non-linear. Let us see some examples. Here we have again this compressor system yn is equal to x to n. Let us apply inputs x1 and x2 individually. Then we have y1n is equal to x1 to n and y2n is equal to x to n. Then we take the weighted sum of the outputs. So y3n is equal to a y1n plus b y2n is equal to ax1n plus bx2n. This will be first computation we have done. Now the response to the linear combination of the inputs. This is the linear combination ax1 plus bx2. We perform the transformation. What transformation says is, whatever we are having, just make the arguments double. So we are making ax1 to n plus bx2 to n. Since y3n, we observe, see, since 1 is equal to 2, y3n is equal to y4, therefore the system is linear. Let us see another example. Here the system's output is the square of the system's input. Yn is equal to x square n. So the first step will be, we supply the inputs x1 and x2, we compute the corresponding outputs. Y1n is equal to x1 square No, it should not be 2n. X1 square n, that is x1 square n, and it is x2 square n. Now we take the linear sum of these outputs, ay1n plus by2n, that is ax1 square n plus bx2 square n. Now we take the response to the linear combination of inputs. We transform ax1n plus bx2n. So what the transformation rule says is, whatever we are having, we take the square of the input. So this is the complete input. So this is the complete input. This complete input should be squared. So ax1n plus bx2n whole square gives us ax1 square n plus bx2 square n plus 2abx1 x2. So clearly y3 and y4 are not equal. Y3n is not equal to y4n, therefore the system is said to be nonlinear. Now we will see the classification of system based on causality. The causal versus non-causal systems. A system is said to be causal if the output of the system at any instant n depends on the present and the past inputs, but not on the future inputs. The system output depends on the present and the past inputs, but not on the future inputs. Mathematically, we can say that if we are at an instant n, if we are computing the output at instant n, then it should be a function of the present value of the input and some past values of the input, but not the future values. That is, it is not dependent on n plus 1 or n plus 2, where g is an arbitrary function. Where we use the g to show the dependence of yn upon past as well as the present inputs, but not on the future inputs. If a system doesn't satisfy the above definition, it is said to be non-causal system. Such a system's output values which are dependent on the future inputs rather than only present and past inputs. So the non-causal systems have tendency to compute the output based on the future values of the input also. So such a systems in real-time processing are not realizable. However, if we are having the signals where the recordings are available, or we are dealing with some signals of geographical locations, or we are dealing with images, so in that case non-causal systems are realizable. But in the real-time processing where the time is involved on a real basis, then the causal systems are only realizable. These are non-realizable in real-time application. Let us see some examples on the causality. Here we have yn is equal to xn minus xn minus 1. Clearly, at the nth instant, the output of the system depends on the present input and the exactly past input, but not on the future inputs. Then, so such a system first is a causal system. It is a causal system. Then second one is the yn is equal to 2xn plus 1 minus xn. The output at instant n depends also on the future value n plus 1. Let's say we have to compute y1, then we are using 2x2 plus minus x1. So we are using x2, which is the future value. So it is a non-causal system. Now see yn is equal to x2n. Yn is equal to x2n. Let's say we have to compute y1, then we are telling x2. Y1 is equal to x2. So clearly we are looking into the future input value x2. For computing the value at instant n is equal to 1, we are using the value of the input at n is equal to 2. So it is also non-causal system. Let's see another example. Yn is equal to k is equal to minus infinity to n xk. So it is an accumulator system. It accumulates all the previous values up to the nth value. So it is looking only the past value as and the present value. We can expand it. Let's say we have minus infinity up to x0. we are moving towards like this xn. We are having x0 in between somewhere. So we are summing all the values up to n from minus infinity. So we are only looking at the past and the present value, not on the future value. So it is a causal system. Now let's see yn is equal to x minus n. This is the time reversal system. So let's say we have to compute y minus 1. So it will be y minus 1, that is x1. So input, the output at instant minus 1 depends on the future instant plus 1. So clearly it is non-causal system. Now let us see the classification of system based on stability. There are generally two kinds of stability: internal stability and external stability. Internal stability we are not discussing here, it is known as asymptotic stability. But the external stability is analyzed using BIBO stability, which means bounded input, bounded output stability. The definition of bounded input, bounded output stability is a relaxed system is said to be BIBO stable if and only if every bounded input results into a bounded output. Mathematically, for a BIBO stable system, there exist two finite numbers mx and my such that xn is bounded by mx. That is, we are saying that the maximum value xn, the absolute maximum of the value of the input is mx, and the corresponding yn, its absolute maximum value should be my. So both these mx and my should be finite numbers. It should be less than infinity for all values of n. The system is otherwise said to be BIBO unstable if for any bounded input sequence xn the output yn is unbounded. So if for any input sequence which is bounded, the system is providing us the unbounded output, the system is clearly BIBO unstable system. Let us see some examples next. Here we have system yn is equal to axn plus b. So let's say we have xn bounded by mx, that is the maximum value of xn input is mx. Then yn max will be a xn max plus b. So what is xn max? Mx. So it will be a mx plus b, which is clearly less than infinity, because a and b, we assume a and b here are finite numbers. A and b are finite, and the limit of xn, that is xn, is also bounded by the mx. Mx is a finite number. So if mx, a and b are finite, then their linear sum should also be finite. It should be less than infinity. So if so we can conclude that we can say it my. So yn max is equal to my, or we can say that yn is bounded by my, where my is a mx plus b. So the system is BIBO stable. This is stable system. Likewise, we can see yn is equal to x square n. So here yn max will be, if xn achieves its maximum value, yn max will be xn max square value. Xn max should be mx. So if mx is finite, hence its square should also be finite. Therefore yn, the output comes bounded whenever the input is bounded. So it is also a stable system. Next we will see the third example, yn is equal to nxn. As we increase the value of n to infinity, as we increase the value of n to infinity, the output also increases to infinity. So clearly the system is unstable. However, the xn may be bounded, but due to this n factor, whenever we will increase the time instant n, the output will increase. So there is no boundation in the output of the signal. So this system is unstable system. So this was all about the various classification of discrete time systems based on the most used properties: causality, stability, linearity, time invariance, etc., memory. Hope you have understood it. Thank you.